Good afternoon. I'd like to call to order the January 10th policy session of the Phoenix City Council. Will the clerk please call the roll?
Councilman DeCiccio. Councilmember Garcia.
Here.
Councilwoman Guardado.
Here.
Councilwoman O'Brien.
Here.
Councilwoman Pastor.
Here.
Councilwoman Stark.
No,
Here.
Pastor's here, Stark's there.
Thank you. Councilman Waring.
Here.
Vice Mayor Ansari.
Here.
Mayor Gallego.
Here. We'll begin with council information and follow-up requests. We'll go first to Councilwoman O'Brien, then to the Vice Mayor, then to Councilwoman Pastor.
Thank you, Mayor. First, I'd like to start by wishing everybody a Happy New Year. Yesterday was National Law Enforcement Appreciation Day, and in part to show my appreciation for everything that our men and women in law enforcement do, I've decided to use funds directly from the District 1 budget to supply the Black Mountain Precinct with new bikes and safety equipment. In speaking directly with members of my community regarding continuing concerns related to negative activity in our parks, our officers mentioned how difficult it is to regularly patrol the park areas without the proper mobility tools. As I've said in the past, our parks are areas where our residents can enjoy the outdoors, play pickup games, exercise, and hold family reunions and birthday parties. But like the rest of our city, these parks have rules. We already have park rangers and additional security patrolling some of our parks overnight, but with these new bikes for the Black Mountain Precinct, we'll have additional patrols to ensure our park rules are being followed and crime is being deterred. Additionally, to show our continued appreciation for our officers, some members of this council recently participated in a thank you video for all of our officers. If you're interested in viewing the video, you can visit my Facebook page. Thank you to all of my colleagues who found the time to participate. Our next community breakfast will be on Friday, January 27th with check-in starting at 7:30 a.m. That will be at the Metro Center Doubletree Inn. In addition, on January 11th, tomorrow at 1:30 p.m., we'll be having a Metro District community meeting to talk about what's going on at Metro, what's yet to come. So thank you very much for the time, Mayor.
Thank you. We'll go next to Vice Mayor Ansari, followed by Councilwoman Pastor, followed by Councilmember Garcia.
Thank you, Mayor. Hello, everyone. And you can just go to the next slide. Thank you. After visiting in December to see their new bus rapid transit line, I am excited to share that I'm back in Houston, Texas for the 2023 10 Across Summit, which is actually organized by Arizona State University and led by ASU Senior Advisor Duke Ryder. It's a summit that brings together city governments and experts from across Interstate 10, including Phoenix and Houston, each dealing with similar challenges and are on the front lines of social, economic, and climate change. So hello from Houston. Next slide. Next, we're going to a homelessness update. As we all may know, Maricopa County has been in the news recently because of the 22% increase in homelessness we've seen in the last 2 years. This is a national issue that everyone is working hard to tackle. So this week, my office is dedicating our social media channels to breaking down challenges, but also solutions that Phoenix is proactively putting forward. We kicked it off last night by sharing proposed plans for the new 280-bed shelter that will be built by 22nd Avenue and Lower Buckeye at a public meeting in District 7. It's a new model for emergency shelter with both congregate and non-congregate shipping containers, a strong workforce component, and green communal spaces for both residents and even dog companions. We saw little to no hesitation from residents, and we're looking forward to sharing progress on this one. Next slide. We've also begun enhanced cleanups in the zone around the Human Services campus. During the smaller scale pilot of these more humane strategic cleanups, 55 unsheltered individuals were engaged at the most recent one, and 42 of those individuals accepted shelter. Just want to take this opportunity to give a huge thank you to Gina Montez, Rachel Milne, and Scott Hall. They've been working tirelessly on this, and I think it just goes to show that when we do have a thoughtful approach and shelter to offer people, that we really can make a dent in our homelessness crisis. Also in partnership with Councilman Garcia's office, Phoenix PD and Phoenix Cares, and this is the next slide. We've also increased outreach at 51st Avenue and Baseline in Levine. We've made around 20 to 30 contacts per week on average, and around half are accepting shelter or resources. There will be another neighborhood cleanup and outreach event hosted by Redeemed Neighborhoods this Saturday at 7:30 a.m., and they will be meeting at the 51st Avenue and Baseline CVS. Next slide. On Friday evening, Scottsdale Police Sergeant Scott Galbraith was shot while serving a search warrant near First Avenue and Roosevelt. Phoenix PD shut down the area and kept the public safe during a busy First Friday on Roosevelt Row. The suspect was at large until Sunday, until being found by Tempe PD near Baseline Road and Lakeshore Drive. When the officers attempted to arrest, the suspect reportedly pulled out a gun and was shot. He later died. Thankfully, the sergeant is going to make a full recovery and has already been released from the hospital. Next slide. This wasn't the first shooting in the area, and multiple have happened over the past couple of months. So my office has been in touch with many of the local businesses who are concerned and residents as well. So just wanted to extend an invitation to a community safety meeting we'll be hosting on Saturday, January 21st. So if you're interested, please come out. More information will be provided by my office. Next slide. And as always, do not hesitate to reach out if you need help with city services, notice an issue in your neighborhood, or want to provide input on city policies. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. We'll next go to Councilwoman Pastor, followed by Councilmember Garcia, followed by Councilwoman Guardado, and then Councilwoman Stark.
Waiting for my slides. So here we go, District 4. Next slide. Celebrating small businesses. Tomorrow we will be at the Hive on 16th Street, where you can shop for perfect, unique gifts and coffee. I'll be filming there. I won't be there tomorrow. Next slide. Community chat tomorrow. Join me at 6 p.m. at True Burger, 2535 East Central on January 11th, which is tomorrow. Next slide. 5th year to get checked. This is our police and fire cancer screening. And we have a successful discovery. One of our most recent success was discovering a rare scatral tumor in one of the first responders. Thanks to the early detection, he's going to be okay. If we did not capture this, it would have been a matter of weeks for this officer. So congratulations on the cancer screening. Next slide. Mel Hanna. We are not makers of histories, we are made by history. MLK Jr. And anybody that knew Mel Hanna, he was a trailblazer. Started in Wickenburg, went to NAU Flagstaff, and then was a councilman in Flagstaff, and little by little moved to Phoenix and was very active in many of our political initiatives, and he also was very active with the Black and Brown Coalition and bringing the Latino community and the Black community together to start dialoguing, since there were some separation, and they brought us together, in particular South Phoenix, and he was able to bring the community together to work on common initiatives because we had many things in common. And many people like to keep us separated and split, and continue to do that. And you can see that in many ways of decision making and how they would like the split of the Black and Brown community. But I want to honor him because he was able to bring the community together along with many other leaders. I call them the old G's, the old guard community, along with Mary Rose and Alfredo Gutierrez and Warren Stewart, and be able to have that dialogue, realizing we had common goals. So I want to recognize him because he passed yesterday, and so I am marking him as the trailblazer. So thank you.
Thank you. We'll go to Councilmember Garcia.
Thank you, Mayor. And as I wait for my slides to come up, I want to echo the sentiments of with Mel Hanna. May rest in peace. I got to co-chair the Black Brown Coalition with him in the early 2000s. Is a great person, did a lot for the Urban League and our entire community, so we remember Mel Hanna. Also wanted to thank folks, both staff and my colleagues, for supporting some understanding. Apologize for the meetings that had to be canceled. My mom is doing well at home and recovering. That event at Nevitt Park also brought The Grinch, the movie, to Lindo Park. Really thankful for the turnout there and excited to continue and do those types of events. Coming up, next slide, please. This next Saturday, January 21st, we'll be doing a cleanup at South Mountain, hosted by the South Mountain Block Watch. If you're around there or would like to join us, details are on the screen. Also doing a great event, Unity in the Community, at Estevan Park. Estevan Park was lucky enough to get some support from the bond committee, and the folks around there are really excited about the community center that's coming with the bond funds, and so we're looking to activate the area as we continue to plan for that really exciting news to get that community center. And last, we have Francisco Highland Festival. Francisco Highland had an community organization before. They're reestablishing their Block Watch and their community organization, so excited to host that event Saturday 25th at Francisco Highland Park. And that was it. Thank you.
Thank you. We'll go next to Councilwoman Guardado.
Thank you, Mayor. Just a couple announcements. This Saturday, January 14th, we are kicking off this year's first community cleanup event as part of the larger 27th Avenue Community Safety Plan and Crime Prevention Plan. We will have a meeting at the southeast corner of 27th Avenue and Bethany Home Road at the Savers parking lot at 9 a.m. I'm very thankful for all the work that has gone into 27th Avenue and all the different community folks that have come out and all the different community groups that we've been able to put together since we kicked off this plan a year and a half ago. And I want to give a big shout out to some of the incredible groups that will be joining us. The Alhambra Elementary School District, St. Simon and Jude Cathedral Community, the Montebello and soon to be Beverly Square Neighborhood Association, the Vecinos Vigilantes Neighborhood Group, and a big thank you to a great 27th Avenue small business, Tacos Kisi, for partnering on food for all of our volunteers. I hear that we're going to be having burritos that day. This will be an exciting day of service as we continue to build community and make a difference during the Martin Luther King Jr. weekend. I want to thank the Neighborhood Services Police and Street Transportation Departments for their work with our office on this cleanup. Next, I wanted to share a great park-related update. On Thursday, January 19 at 11 a.m., I am excited to host the ribbon-cutting ceremony for the new renovations at West Plaza Park at 43rd Avenue in Maryland. The $1.9 million park improvements include a new playground, basketball and volleyball courts, a fit Phoenix walking path, and exercise equipment. I am thrilled to get out there next week with neighbors and city staff to celebrate such an incredible new investment in District 5 and very well needed for those neighbors in that area. A huge thank you to our Neighborhood Services Department for their funding, partnership, and the whole Parks and Recreation team for making this project a reality. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you so much. We'll go to Councilwoman Stark.
Thank you, Mayor. So a couple of days before the holiday, I got a knock on my door, and it was one of my neighbors, and lo and behold, we had a major water leak on our street. So I contacted the water department, and they came out. They were very responsive. A day before the holiday, they worked into the night to get it completed, and I just want to give them a huge thank you for doing that, especially given it was during the holiday season. But of course, last night I got a knock on the door, and we have another leak in our neighborhood, and so water is out there again today working on another leak. And I also want to give a shout out to Nadine and Jimmy at 3A Automobile and Diesel Repair for their annual car giveaway. This is such a great event. And this year, Nathan Caitlin, a special ed teacher's assistant, won the car. He's at Mountain View Elementary. The entire school came out, faculty and staff, as did Dr. Stanton. It was a great event. This is a part of the job I really like. So thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. I will join my colleagues in recognizing the passing of Mel Hanna. He served our city in so many different ways, including outreach director for Mayor Greg Stanton and a longtime advocate for civil rights and issues that affect all Arizonans. So I want to recognize his commitment, not just to Flagstaff and Coconino County, but also to the city of Phoenix. We will miss him dearly. With that, we will go on to our first agenda item, which is an exciting item related to the general plan, and I will turn to our resident planning expert and chair of our planning subcommittee to introduce the item. Councilwoman Stark.
Thank you, Mayor. It's that time again. Every 10 years, we are required to update the general plan and take it to the voters. And why do we do that? Because it's a very fluid document. As a matter of fact, one of the first general plan updates I worked on was in 1985, and that was before light rail, before internet, before smartphones. So obviously we live in a fluid society, and so it makes sense to look at our general plan every 10 years. And during Governor Jane D. Hall's tenure, sweeping changes to planning law were made, and they were known as Growing Smarter and Growing Smarter Plus. Growing Smarter introduced new elements, which include water resources. This is probably one of the most critical issues that we need to deal with, and I'm glad that it was included. We also look at the cost of development, and we also focus on growth areas. The legislation also requires a citizen participation plan and a review every 10 years, plus a vote by our citizens. You're probably wondering how we got to that vote. During the time that we were looking at Growing Smarter, there was competing laws that were looking at to the voters, and it dealt with growth areas, and it was led by Grant Woods. So he sat down with Governor Hall, and they came up with the idea to take our general plans to the voters every 10 years. So there's a little bit of trivia for you. So the last time we completed the 10-year plan was in 2015, and it was led by Mo Stein, who's here again today, and the vice chair was Kate Gallego. So I'm very excited by the committee that we appointed last Thursday. A lot of great people are on that committee, and I'm very hopeful for an active participation plan and a very positive outcome with that. Thank you for letting me introduce this important item.
Thank you, and we'll turn to our Deputy City Manager to continue to introduce the item.
Thank you, Mayor, and thanks for the great introduction, Councilwoman Stark. From Mayor and Council, as Councilwoman Stark identified, the General Plan Update 2025 happens every 10 years. We are happy to be here this afternoon to discuss our overall outreach plan. And really, the effort with the general plan is a very broad-based community approach that really is about how we continue to build Phoenix into a great city. And it takes into account all the different departments that within the city and how we can work together to help implement the vision of the council and the community that comes out of this general plan update process. And so there's been a lot of exciting work that has been done by all the various departments since our last general plan update, and we are very excited to be here to talk about what we're going to do to integrate that going forward here. With that, last time we were very fortunate to have Josh Bednarik lead the last update, and he'll provide some overall guidance to this round as well. But also up here with me at the table are Tricia Gomes, Acting Deputy Director, and Joelle Crosco, Acting Special Projects Administrator, who are both going to be leading the day-to-day efforts on the general plan update. And with that, I'll turn it over to Josh.
Thank you, Alan. Mayor and members of the council, we are really proud of the work we did together as a community as part of the last general plan update. And thanks to your leadership, we have a host of accomplishments to celebrate since the update's approval by the voters in 2015. It's with these accomplishments in mind and the ongoing work you have led with the community that we are proposing a strategic and focused update of the general plan that looks to align the general plan with the many council-adopted initiatives from the past 8 years, while strengthening the document in several areas and charting a path forward on what we will be working on together for the next decade. For this discussion today, we want to provide an overview to you and our residents watching on why we're doing the update, give a quick recap of what the general plan is and what we've been doing the last 8 years, talk to you about some of the major themes and the scope of this update, along with how we'll be collaborating with the community, and then close out with a review of our project schedule. Thank you again. With that, I'll turn it to Ms. Gomes.
Thank you, Josh, Mayor, and Council. So why do we update? As Councilwoman Stark and Mr. Stevenson has mentioned, state law requires the general plan is updated every 10 years, and a public participation plan is adopted as a part of that update process. In addition, we made a commitment to the community to keep the conversation going and keep the general plan relevant. So what is the general plan? I know that you know, Mayor and Council, but for viewers at home, the general plan is the vision for a connected city and the primary source of land use, growth, and preservation policies for the city. In 2015, the general plan was approved by 76% of the voters. On the screen are a few excerpts from the general plan that depicts the plan framework and the land use map. Here is one example of how the general plan, through community input to maximize transportation resources such as the light rail and provide more housing, provided a strong policy support for transit-oriented development. Specifically, through the East Lake Garfield Transit-Oriented Development Plan, which identified catalyst areas such as Edison Park, which served as the basis for the Choice Neighborhoods Grant application. The city was awarded $30 million, and that project is actively under construction today. There are numerous projects under construction that have their roots in the general plan. Examples include Metro Center, Park Central, and Paradise Valley Mall redevelopments, TSMC, and Grand Canalscapes improvement. As a part of our commitment to keep the conversation going since 2015, here are some highlights. In an effort to provide education and training, Planning 101 videos in Spanish and English were created. To celebrate the unique assets of each village, the village character plans were updated to align with the new general plan framework. As a continuation of transit-oriented development, the 19 North TOD plan and the South Central TOD community plan were approved to provide the policy framework for those areas. And the 27th Avenue to-do list was created by the community to develop a vision for an active, safe, and welcoming community. I will now turn it over to Joelle to discuss where we are going with the 2025 general plan update.
Thank you, Trish. Thank you, Mayor and Council. We're really excited to be here today and to continue to build off all of the success from our past. The image on this slide is something that we wanted to share with you because it's an iconic sculpture, and it's a matching image on the cover of the public participation plan that you have before you. And this sculpture, titled "Her Secret is Patience," is described as seemingly fixed sculpture, yet constantly in motion. And that's something that we wanted to share with you as we look at the general plan, which is also constantly in motion, and we are excited to celebrate that with you over this update. So as mentioned earlier, this is a very strategic and focused update. Through ongoing partnerships across our department, in collaboration with internal and external partners and stakeholders, and with your leadership and guidance, we really have three major steps to get through over the next few months. The first one is vision alignment. The second one is identifying what we may be missing or where we might need to focus and provide more definition. And the last one, which is the most exciting, is what are we going to be focusing on for the next 10 years or this next decade upon us? So with vision alignment, we certainly have a lot of great accomplishments and great successes, as Trish highlighted as an example, with some of the goals and foundation that the General Plan 2015 has provided us. So our vision alignment will really look back at the last 8 years and identify, what are some of those goals and strategies that came out of all of those efforts across the city. It will also allow us to build off the significant outreach that came along with those efforts and all of the community input that came about from those very specific topics over the past 8 years. And then again, we want to continue to build off these visions across departments and with those stakeholders that were involved as part of those previous efforts. That will really position us for that next step, which is what are we missing, or what do we need to more clearly define as we move forward. And so we're excited again to continue working with our partners, working with you all on this critical next step, which will create a foundation for what we're going to be doing over the next 10 years. And so where do we focus next? Well, as our communities evolve, we want to ensure that the general plan goals and strategies creates a unified policy framework that can evolve with our community. And so some of these goals from the previous update may be carried over, some of them may be more defined, and there may be some new goals and strategies. And we're excited to listen and work with our community through all of these steps, which leads us to the next slide, which is our outreach methods and approach. That is what we are here to discuss today, and certainly we want to build off all of those previous accomplishments. We want to look at all of the topics that were addressed in some of the more recent policies and plans that have been approved by you all, and we want to build off of that input that was received as part of these efforts. So as part of that public participation plan, we have set forth a continuous opportunity for public engagement. And of course, we are looking at English and Spanish as well to make sure that we hear and listen to all the voices across our community. And so one of the first items that we wanted to acknowledge is your leadership in helping us to create a leadership committee to work with over the next couple of months. And so we're excited to work with the General Plan Leadership Committee. We're also excited to work with our Village Planning Committee and Planning Commission as part of this process, as they are charged with looking at the General Plan update along with us. We have some tremendous opportunities for some youth engagement, working with several different schools across the city and some other partners to really capture the voice of our youth as part of this effort. And we also have a lot of resources that we're going to utilize as part of the media involvement. We're going to provide opportunities for surveys and online conversations as part of this effort as well. So as part of this outreach process, we wanted to present you with the timeline. We anticipate a great majority of our outreach to occur over the next 6 years leading into summer, and that is where this public participation plan is really going to be the heaviest. After summer, we will continue to allow public input and continue to engage with our community, but we will also be working on a draft plan in anticipation of revealing a draft in early fall of this year. We're looking to capture this in a planned Phoenix Summit, just like as we had in the past in the 2015 update, that will allow the community and stakeholders to participate in that review and provide some additional comments. And this will really position mayor and council for the public hearing process in early 2024, which will allow us to get to the ballots in late 2024 in November for the election. So with that, we really appreciate your time, and we're excited to work with you guys moving forward, and we're happy to answer any questions. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Any questions? Councilwoman Pastor.
I have a question. I don't know what the number of the slide was, but it had the 27th Avenue to-do list, the 19th Avenue North TOD. That was in 2015. What is included this time around? Because I would like to see 19, not 19th North, 19 South. So how do we incorporate that?
Mayor, Councilwoman Pastor, what this update provides us an opportunity to do is to build on those existing efforts, and as Joelle outlined, identify where are those areas we want to focus on next. And so we certainly anticipate hearing from you and from the community that we certainly want to maximize the investment in the community collaboration that's occurred in those areas. So 19th Avenue, say south of Camelback, certainly could be an area that we want to prioritize. We know we're going to hear from folks that we need to do some focus on the 202. So those kinds of suggestions are certainly what we're anticipating hearing, and we would program into what are we going to do next section of the document.
Okay, so then I just need to organize my community. Is that what I'm hearing?
That's what this is about, yes, ma'am.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. I want to recognize our chair, Mo Stein, who is here, and Phil Pancrazio, who has joined us virtually. We are so grateful to the steering committee for stepping up again for our community, and to our chair in particular, who has such a great record of helping with general plans that have been bold and really changed our city. When the committee proposed that we'd say to the voters we wanted to be the most sustainable desert city, it was pretty unprecedented, and now it's something that is really in our values as an entire city. So that's just type of the vision that can come out of these plans. I am very hopeful that we'll really celebrate the link between water planning, water supplies, and land use planning. That has always been a challenge for us as a desert city, but is growing increasingly more pronounced with long-term drought and other challenges. And so hopefully we have a great record of leading the way on water and land use planning, but that we can really innovate and take it to the next level. I also hope we can think about land use planning as we move towards a higher and higher wage economy with tech corridors, and really thinking about what it needs, what our tech industry and advanced manufacturing needs to thrive in this community. We've done a great job already with that land use planning, but that's one of the things that's even higher on my to-do list than it was a decade ago. So lots of exciting opportunities with this plan, and look forward to being out in the community. Josh led us in a wide variety of very innovative community engagement strategies, and I'm excited to see, I know you guys will take it to the next level, but I do want to request, there was an ice cream focused meeting at a Levine ice cream shop that I think we might need to repeat again. And with that, I'll turn to one of the council members for Levine, Councilmember Garcia, who does not have to talk about ice cream.
Thank you, Mayor, but I'll take the ice cream meeting as well. So 2 quick questions. One around Spanish speakers, how are we going to include them? I know we talked about it in our briefing. I think it'd be good for folks to hear about it. And then if we could just go into a little bit more of how this plan will engage with older plans. In District 8 or in a lot of parts of the city, we have numerous plans layered on top of each other. So how does this either highlight or work with those plans that are already established?
Mayor, members of the council, Councilmember Garcia, 2 great questions. As far as integrating the different documents, one of the slides that Trish showed was an overall structure or framework for the general plan that identifies a vision and 5 core values. Part of the exercise that we'll be going with the community is organizing the existing plans, the plans that you've recently adopted, within those 5 core values. And as Joel hit on, that might require us to rethink how we're naming some of those goals, thinking about some of those goals, but the idea should be that if we have a goal, let's say in the Housing Phoenix plan, that should be elevated and reinforced in the general plan. We shouldn't have a separate plan from that. So the entire exercise is going to require a lot of work. We have a lot of work to do with the community. We have just as much, if not more, work to do with our partners within the department, who we've got great working relationships with. But it's a really great opportunity to reinforce what are we saying, and then how are we measuring success? How are we tying that to the things that we have on the city manager's dashboard so that we can connect those dots? And so that's phase 1 as part of this. With respect to how we're going to engage the Spanish-speaking population, as you know, we had tremendous success, especially with Joel's leadership, as we engaged the folks in South Central. We have a variety of different staff with us as part of our team. Very fortunate to have several Spanish-speaking staff. We'd also look for you to, if there's certain communities or groups that we need to engage with, I think those were, as the mayor pointed out from our last, some of our best engagements where we just went with you as the council to sit down and talk, right? One of the best engagements we had at the last one was, one of the feedbacks we got was, we asked them what they wanted, and the response was, un casino para los niños. And I had them explain, what did you mean by that? And they said, well, effectively, we only have a Peter Piper in our neighborhood, and we just want some place for the kids to go. But it was a very organic, fluid conversation, and we need your help and leadership in facilitating those. There can be a level of where we set up an invite and maybe not as many people show up, whereas you guys do, we can get more people to there. And so we'll really look for your help. We certainly have, I think, a great track record in certain communities who have already Spanish-speaking, already working with us in like South Central. We'll build on those relationships, but we'll need your help as well.
Councilwoman Guardado.
Thank you, Mayor. Yes, I've looked at the plan, and thanks everyone for all of your hard work on this. I think this looks great. I'm excited to see one of my constituents, Jeff O'Toole, that will serve on the leadership committee. I think there's a lot of work to be done in West Phoenix, and I think he has a big vision and has like a real pulse in terms of what the West Side really needs. So I'm excited for him being part of the committee. I know that Josh, I think you and I have talked about talking to Abraham Gonzalez at Villa de Paz School when we talk about what are the needs with our youth, with our children. That's a way where we can tackle some of the Spanish-speaking barriers that we might be able to find. I think there's definitely a way to be able to get with those folks. I agree with Councilmember Garcia. We have to break through those barriers this time around. So I'm excited to be able to work with you guys and have you guys come to our meetings. I know we're going to have a big District 5 community leaders meeting next month, so we'll make sure to get you guys that invite so you guys can all come out and talk to folks, and then we can make plans on how we can have house meetings and have you guys come over, especially in the areas that we're focusing on this year. We have a whole plan for the Camelback corridor that we've been talking to Jeff about and talking to Lori about. I think I talk to Jeff about it at least once a week, maybe more. So there's definitely a lot of issues around that, and I know the team has been talking to Gina as well. So we have a lot of plans, and we're hopeful that we can have you guys come out to those meetings so you guys can engage with those folks and see what are some of those needs that we're talking about. Excited to see building confidence with neighborhood leaders as well. Love seeing the 27th Avenue plan. I know that was my first meeting when I first came onto council, meeting with Jeff Spellman on how is it, he said to me, how can we put wheels on this plan? And I think we've worked really hard to put wheels on that plan, and seeing the execution of it, I think has been exciting. The work that Shannon McBride has done on 19 North, I think is also very exciting. So hopefully being able to continue to work with them to come to other parts of the city and other parts of District 5, that people can see that once they put a plan together, there is staff and there are people that will work with them to make sure that we get those plans up and running. So excited to seeing what this plan will end up with, and happy to be able to host a lot of those meetings. Thank you.
Thank you. We'll go to Councilwoman Stark.
Thank you, Mayor. So looking at your participation plan here, I see that you mentioned village planning committees, planning commission, city council meetings. I assume that you will also be reaching out to some of our other boards and commissions as well. For example, the Citizen Transportation Council might be a good one to chat with. Is that part of your plan?
Absolutely, Councilwoman Stark. We certainly are going to work with all of the representatives across all of our boards and commissions, and we have such a unique and diverse group on our leadership committee that do touch upon other topics like transportation and housing, and I think they're going to bring a lot of that conversation to us as part of this effort, but we are certainly welcome to go to other boards and commissions as well as part of this effort.
Great. I think that's a great idea because they can bring a lot of value to the process. And then I'm sure you're going to be reaching out to the industry, the trades, multifamily, single family, and the like, correct?
Correct, Councilwoman Stark. That is correct.
I just want to make sure it's an all-inclusive participation plan and making sure that we don't leave anyone out. Also, I know all the districts have a number of events. For example, we have a Slope Fest in Sunny Slope, big event. Hundreds of people come. And so if we give you a list of different events we think might be worthwhile for you to attend, I'm sure you'll be open to that, correct? Great, because I have a list. Thank you. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. We'll go next to the Vice Mayor.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you so much, Josh, Allen, everyone, for the update and proposal. Very excited to see how our numerous plans and goals that affect our city and kind of determine how we'll grow will all align with the general plan update. A couple of questions that I had. Firstly, will this general plan be an opportunity to amend the layout of some of our villages? And as an example, I'll just give Estrella Village. They have brought up the need a couple times to potentially move where the general plan specifies their village core to be.
Mayor, Councilwoman Ansari, we're going to have a robust conversation with the community about where we see growth occurring, where growth's occurring now. As part of that, the framework that we have on with us now, there's a concept of cores, centers, and corridors. And we had a really great conversation with the community back in 2016 and 2017 about where they saw core centers or corridors aligning in their villages. Estrella participated in that discussion, and we need to revisit those with them. I think as part of that, and as part of reinforcing where they see growth, we certainly could, subsequent to a general plan update, talk about where some line changes are. As part of this update, though, we won't be making those specific changes, rather providing the policy foundation to go do that subsequent to the voter approval. And so we would lay the foundation for some potential modifications to core designations, and we would use the update of the general plan as the policy basis to go do that.
Got it. Okay. Thank you. That's helpful clarification. Then in terms of outreach, somewhat to Councilwoman Stark's point, I think it's critical that we get input from residents who maybe get around the city in different ways. Will we be doing targeted outreach to, on our, those who may use our transit system, outreach to the biking community, and to disabled residents as an example?
Mayor, Vice Mayor, I'm sorry, excuse me. I think I messed it up the first time. I think that's where we're really excited. If you look at who we have on our Plan Phoenix Leadership Committee, we have a really great, diverse set of folks with tremendous context for us in a variety of constituencies. But with that said, in addition to our village planning committees and the other boards and commissions, if there's a constituency that you want to make sure that we're engaging with, that as we regularly update you monthly on who we're talking to and how we're talking to them, just let us know. But I think if you look at the roster of the leadership committee, I think that the kinds of groups that you want to see us engaged with, we have those folks positioned to make those contacts for us. But again, if there's another group that you want us to engage with, just point us in that direction.
Sounds good. I think the ones I just mentioned I would put at top of our list from my side, but we will send you any more and can definitely help host those or help you, make the right contacts. And then my final question is whether or not we'll have opportunities to add any additional goals other than those stated in other city plans and initiatives. And I'll give parking reform as an example of one that we have already discussed.
Mayor, Vice Mayor, I'm sorry. Absolutely. That, a big part of what as Joelle laid out the three phases of this, looking about aligning this, and identifying what we're doing now, and then talking about charting a path forward. That's certainly a space where we're going to be updating and adding new goals and commitments to achieve those goals as part of this plan.
Okay, great. Thank you so much. That's it for me.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. Councilwoman Pastor, followed by Councilwoman O'Brien.
Yes, I just wanted to follow up on the conversation of outreach. Vice Mayor Ansari and Councilwoman O'Brien and I attended a conference or one-day piece regarding the BRT and regarding outreach and critical outreach on what does that look like in different areas. And what we discovered or what we discussed was that outreach for some of our areas needs to be a hands-on outreach. And what I mean by that, it's not just a meeting, let's hope everybody shows up, and if nobody shows up, well, I did the meeting. And so I know you guys do a really good job at this and planning, and you've done a really good job in the general plan, but I think we're really, because of COVID and all the other different things that have happened between that time, that we're really going to do a bigger outreach within the community. Things are happening on the west side where we really need to hit those doors and get information to the doors. There was a survey in the transportation, and I want to say it was 51st, or it was one of the avenues where we were trying to get some information regarding bike lanes in that area. There was a poor showing. I believe it was a poor showing because those are working families, 2 jobs, possibly 3, and we need to get into those communities to have their voices heard and understand the changes that are happening. And so I am encouraging and wanting to start to figure out an outreach plan sooner than later, in order for those areas to be heard. The other piece that I think is we need to build a coalition or a committee is with the refugee community. There's multiple languages spoken within the refugee community, so we will need interpreters, or we will need those that speak that language. We will also need some translations because they are impacted with some of the dynamics that are happening in the general plan. And so that's, and then the other piece I was thinking is there's a very large diversity in the police advisory board. So to hit the police advisory boards, because there's a lot of, I'm assuming it's still active, but those boards are very active. My question to you is staff. Who's doing this? And do we have enough staff to do this?
Mayor, Councilwoman Pastor, we are in the process of bringing on some new village planners that will help with this. Again, a lot of that will fall on the planners that we have on staff, the members of the leadership committee. And again, to your point, really trying to meet people where they're already at. I think, as we talked about earlier, where we have our opportunities to engage with people already meet, or they have a standing meeting or a special meeting that's been scheduled, that's where we'll look to maximize our staff resources to engage, as opposed to us having to spend the staff resources to set something up. And so I think through that approach, but all available planners at the department on our long-range team will be used to help with this outreach, along with the leadership committee.
Is there a possibility to train or bring back former planners that have retired to be part of this process and understand the nuances of the general plan and understand the community, and be able to bring them back as volunteers to help us? Because we're bigger now. We're larger than we were 5 years ago and 10 years. And I keep hearing there's a need for staff and that we're burning out staff. Well, I want to be proactive and innovative to be able to bring, and also get people to commit to really be part of our city in the sense of helping us with some of our work. And that's why I'm thinking of even ASU students or NAU students possibly being, because there's NAU programs at the community colleges that possibly can come and engage.
Mayor, Councilwoman Pastor, all fantastic suggestions. And one thing that I want to just build on that Joelle hit on, we have a partnership with ASU, and we actually have our first class with them, the introduction. We're going to give them essentially some version of this presentation tomorrow morning at 9 a.m. It's 20 graduate students that are going to be focused on working with us just on outreach. They're going to spend a lot of time working and connecting with youth, but I failed to mention those 20 graduate students as resources for us as part of our outreach effort as well.
Councilwoman O'Brien.
Thank you, Mayor, and thank you all for this plan. I have a couple questions about it. In looking at some of the folks that we're going to be reaching out to, I would hope that we could maybe partner with our school districts. They have incredible outreach to community members, and they would, I think, be a great avenue for getting some input. In addition, I think my neighbor in District 2 and I would be most interested also in having maybe our state land trust director involved in this, given the amount of state land in our districts. Are those possibilities?
Mayor, Councilwoman, absolutely. As you mentioned, the state land department is the largest landowner in Phoenix. We have a great working relationship with them. We meet with them monthly on a variety of topics. The general plan update will be an integral part of those discussions moving forward for the remainder of the year. We're excited about, again, I'll go back to the leadership committee. We have some committee members, especially thanks to Councilman Waring, who appointed Julie Reed, who's got some strong relationships with school districts in North Phoenix that I know you are aware of, to make those connections. But if there's other school district connections that we can make, we're happy to do those. And again, we're thankful for all of you suggesting a school to work with in each of your districts that will connect us with those districts as well. So yes on both, and we look forward to working with the state throughout this process.
Wonderful. And then I'd like to thank Councilmember Pastor for bringing up the different refugee populations, and just in general other populations that are not Spanish speaking, that we make sure we are doing our best to have community meetings with them. In District 1, we have a huge Taiwanese population coming, and so we want to make sure we include those folks in our community meetings as well. So please let us know how we can be helpful in doing that so we get their input as we move forward. Thank you so much, Mayor.
Wonderful. Do we have any additional comments on this item? It looks like we do want a motion to approve the outreach plan.
I move.
I'd be
Councilwoman
happy to
Stark.
make a motion.
Please.
Thank you. I recommend that we approve the City of Phoenix General Plan 2025 Update Public Participation Plan with the also comments from the council. Thank
Second.
you.
We have a motion and a second. I understand we can do this as a voice vote. All those in favor, please say aye.
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 Any opposed, signal nay. Passes unanimously. Good luck. We're going to have a great plan, and we have a great team to do it. Our second agenda item is related to housing, and we want to welcome up our team led by Deputy City Manager Gina Montes. This comes at an exciting week in Arizona. I was very encouraged by Governor Hobbs' State of the State address and her interest in $150 million for the Housing Trust Fund, as well as several other potential partnerships. We will do our part at the city, and we have some new ideas as well as some programs that have been working with us. So Gina, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Mayor, members of the council. We're real excited to be before you this afternoon. Today we're going to provide you an update on the housing programs you authorized through the American Rescue Plan, known as ARPA. To recap, for gap financing, we have $12 million that was authorized out of the second tranche of ARPA, and then an additional $4 million recently authorized out of the first tranche toward gap financing for the Moreland project. And the staff's going to go over this with you, but I wanted to recap as well. For the Community Land Trust, you authorized $5 million. And this presentation is going to provide information on both programs. The Community Land Trust is a new program for the city, and the team has completed extensive research into best practices into community land trusts and had some help from Bloomberg Associates, which we're pretty excited about. So that research informed the guidelines that we're going to review with you today. And so now I'd like to pass the presentation to Housing Director Titus Matthew, and he's joined by Samantha Keating, who's Deputy Housing Director.
Thank you, Gina, members and Mayor and members of the Council. Good afternoon and Happy New Year to all of you. We are here today to provide you with an overview of the Housing Department's programs funded through the American Rescue Plan Act, or ARPA as it's commonly referred to. We will start by providing an overview of our program development and timeline. We will then move on to review the program framework for both the Affordable Housing and Community Land Trust, or CLT, programs. Through the approval of the strategic plan for the second tranche of funds, the Council allocated $17 million for affordable housing activities in June of 2022. In July of 2022, the U.S. Department of Treasury issued updated guidance, an affordable housing how-to guide to assist recipients in using funds for affordable housing. The updated guidance was extremely beneficial because it expanded eligible users of funds, provided guidance on use for homeownership assistance, and permitted long-term loans. In August, we visited Denver and Louisville, who were some of the first cities to set aside ARPA funds for affordable housing. From August to October, we worked with Bloomberg and Associates to review the updated guidance, learn from what Denver, Louisville, and local entities, including the Arizona Department of Housing and Maricopa County, were doing, and lay out the framework for the programs we're discussing today. Adam Freed and Naaman Freeman have led Bloomberg, the team, in assisting us form the programs. And Mr. Freeman joins us today from New York and is sitting in the audience. Today we're providing an overview of our program framework. Looking forward, we plan to issue procurement solicitations for both programs next month. After the updated guidance was released, staff spent time exploring and researching how other jurisdictions were using the allocated funds for affordable housing. Housing Department staff visited the cities of Louisville, Kentucky, and Denver, Colorado to learn about the affordable housing ARPA programs. Both cities provide us valuable information on not only how they use ARPA funds, but their long-standing affordable housing trust funds. The city of Louisville allocated $44 million in ARPA funds for rental, new construction, and rehab programs, in addition to funding a down payment assistance program. Similarly, the city of Denver allocated $28 million in their first tranche of funds to be used for new construction and preservation activities, in addition to the acquisition of new rental developments. Locally, Maricopa County has funded $65 million in ARPA funds for rental and homeownership projects, down payment assistance, and acquisition of homes to be placed in the Community Land Trust. The Arizona Department of Housing has also released a funding opportunity for $10 million in ARPA funds aimed at preserving existing affordable housing that is nearing the end of its affordable restriction period. Based on Arizona Department of Housing information, we estimate that over 600 affordable units are nearing the end of low-income housing tax credit affordability period in the city of Phoenix. At this time, I will turn over the presentation to Deputy Housing Director Samantha Keating to review a program framework.
Thank you, Titus. Based on the updated Treasury guidance, staff is providing information on 2 programs to Council today, which are in line with the ARPA strategic plan approved in June. The first is $12 million for an affordable housing program that will create or preserve affordable rental units. This program will provide $6 million to help fill financing gaps in private affordable housing development projects, and $6 million to the Moreland, a city-owned affordable housing project. The second program is $5 million for a community land trust that will provide permanently affordable home ownership opportunities facilitated through the procurement of a CLT administrator. Both programs support the Council-adopted Housing Phoenix Plan goal of creating or preserving 50,000 units by 2030. For the gap financing portion of the program, the intent is to increase the number of affordable rental units in the city. Low-interest loans for a portion of the project, or gap in financing, will be provided in exchange for affordability restrictions on the funded units. Funds will be offered to developers through a competitive call for interest process, and funds, once repaid, can be recycled for future affordable housing projects. In addition to increasing the supply of affordable housing, the funding will help with the escalating construction costs that we've heard are concerned from developers in the community. This will assist in keeping affordable housing projects on track towards completion. Eligible projects for this program will include new construction of affordable units, the preservation or extension of affordability for existing income-restricted units, and acquisition or rehabilitation of existing multifamily properties that are not currently income-restricted. Funds can be used for overall development financing for new construction or rehabilitation, as well as the acquisition of existing properties. To ensure we're able to provide this opportunity to multiple projects, we are including a $2 million cap per project. In addition to a per project cap, we are also including a per unit maximum based on bedroom size. These per unit maximums for new construction projects average about $234,000, but range from $160,000 for a studio unit to $316,000 for a 4-bedroom unit. The per unit maximum for rehabilitation will be 50% of the new construction limit, which averages about $117,000 per unit. In terms of affordability, per the Treasury guidance, there will be affordability restrictions placed on the units that are supported by this program. The affordability restrictions will match other federal program requirements that the development is subject to, like low-income housing tax credit rules or HUD home funding, which typically have affordability periods between 15 and 30 years and serve incomes between 50 and 60% of the area median income. However, if the project is not already subject to other federal program requirements, the units funded with these ARPA dollars will be required to serve those at 65% of the area median income or below for a minimum period of 20 years. The Moreland is a new 237-unit development that will be constructed in 2 phases by the Housing Department and our nonprofit partner, Native American Connections. The project is located at 3rd Street and Moreland Street in downtown. Construction on Phase 1, which includes 132 units, all of which are affordable, and the project's parking structure is anticipated to start this summer. The project has an immediate need for $10 million in gap funding. The funding for this gap will be provided by $6 million from the June allocation, in addition to $4 million in ARPA funds allocated for the project last month. Moving on to the Community Land Trust Program. This program is intended to create permanently affordable home ownership opportunities. The program will provide grant funds to a CLT administrator to purchase and rehabilitate homes and then resell the homes to first-time low-income buyers. To keep prices affordable, the buyer of the home will only pay for the house, while the CLT will retain ownership of the land and place it in a trust. The CLT administrator will then serve as the long-term steward of the property to ensure future affordability. In a typical CLT model, the CLT acquires the property, rehabilitates the home, and then sells the home to an income-eligible buyer. The land is placed in a trust, and the buyer mortgages the amount needed to purchase only the home and not the land. The CLT and the buyer also enter into a long-term lease for the land, and a land use restriction with the city named as a beneficiary is recorded against the property to outline the affordability requirements for future sales. When the homeowner decides to move, the CLT repurchases the home, and a portion of the sale proceeds are provided to the buyer. The CLT will perform any necessary rehabilitation, sell to another income-eligible home buyer, and the cycle you see here begins again. For the CLT program, the selected administrator will need to be an existing entity that can serve as the property steward. The administrator will also be responsible for ensuring that the home buyer participates in pre-purchase counseling and can service the mortgage for the property. Funds can be used to fund an all-inclusive CLT program and include acquisition, rehabilitation, and down payment assistance for purchase of single-family homes, duplexes, and townhomes. The amount of funding per home, either to help with rehabilitation or a reduction in the ultimate purchase price, cannot exceed $200,000 per home. After the initial CLT purchase and rehabilitation, homes will be required to be sold to first-time home buyers with incomes at or below 80% of the area median income. This concludes our overview of the ARPA programs this afternoon. We welcome your feedback and are happy to answer any questions at this time.
Thank you so much. When this body first began discussing our strategic goals for ARPA, I think every member said housing and homelessness was on our list, and just want to thank you for coming back with priorities that reflect that. Questions? Councilmember Garcia.
Thank you, Mayor, and thank you both for the presentation and all the amazing work. I'm really excited about the Moreland property, previously Deck Park Vista, who's this funding is going to make that reality happen, and so really excited for that. Around the 200,000 limit, is that how much a property is worth? How much can that be partnered with something else? Can you explain it a little bit more and just make it clear? Moving on to the CLT piece.
Mayor, Councilmember Garcia, for the CLT program, the $200,000 in subsidy can either be used to reduce the ultimate purchase price that the homeowner would need to pay. So that could be down payment assistance, or it could reduce the price. So say, for instance, that a home is selling for $400,000 in the current market. A $200,000 subsidy could be provided for that home, and then the ultimate purchaser of the home would pay $200,000. So it helps to reduce the price so that the homeowner can help to afford the home.
And CLT's seen models in other places. It's one of the best ways to maintain affordability. Can you explain a little bit of, like, in the process down the line, how this actually supports maintaining affordability for both individuals, but also units out there that can stay at a price point?
Mayor, Councilmember Garcia. So along with the CLT, subsidy is given to the CLT administrator in this program to begin with. when they sell the property to a home buyer, it will be sold at a lower price, and a price that that home buyer can afford. In addition to selling the property, the CLT will offer the homeowner a lease for a ground lease for the property, which will outline the restrictions for reselling the property in the future. Typically, a CLT will have a certain formula that they work out with the home buyer, and that formula will be agreed upon when the home buyer signs the lease of the property. So when the property is then resold back to the CLT, it will be sold at a lower price than a typical market price, and that helps to keep the property affordable in perpetuity. In addition, there's a land use restriction that's placed on the property that assures that the next buyer also meets those income requirements, which we're proposing at 80% AMI.
Thank you. And I know there's other CLT programs. I think Tempe has one. Is there a way where we're learning either from other places or working alongside with other CLTs to make sure that we're successful?
Certainly, Mayor, Councilmember Garcia, we have consulted with the local CLTs that are in the area. Know that there is one in the southern part of Arizona as well as in the northern part of Arizona. We have consulted with the Tempe CLT and have certainly researched and learned from their practices and hope to integrate that into our program.
Thank you. Thank you all so much, and obviously supporting both projects.
Councilwoman Guardado, followed by the Vice Mayor.
Thank you, Mayor. Yes, I also thank you guys so much for all of the hard work and listening to everything that we've had to say around this issue. Congratulations on this. I think this is a great thing that we're able to do for folks as they are thinking about buying a home and not seeing a way how to really get there. But can you just go back to slide 11? So here where it says sold to income eligible buyer, land remains in trust. Can you just explain that a little bit?
Certainly, Mayor and Councilman Guardado. The CLT will originally purchase the property. So in this instance, we are assuming that a CLT will go in, purchase the property in an existing home. When they resell to an income eligible buyer, only the home will be sold to that buyer. They will only mortgage the home. The CLT will remain the owner of the land, and then they will offer the home buyer a long-term lease for that land. So the land always remains in the trust, and when the property is resold, it's the house that is resold and not the underlying land.
So then what happens if the buyer never wants to sell the home? Like is there like a term limit in terms of how many years the home buyer can stay there, or are they able to stay there, as their home for the next, 30, 40 years?
Councilman Guardado and Mayor, members of the council, good question. So the buyer can live in that house indefinitely, and they can actually pass it on to their family as well. Okay. But if it's sold, then we have to go find another income-eligible buyer. So it remains affordable lifelong.
Got it. Okay. Okay, that was my question. Okay, thank you.
Vice Mayor.
Thank you so much. Very excited about this. I was proud to have supported the allocation of this funding months ago, and I'm very proud to support them today as well. Building off of Councilwoman Guardado's questions, I know the goal of the land trust is to help low-income families build wealth and then sell the home to another family. But are there opportunities for individuals and families who may choose to stay in that home or pass away while living in it, pass it on to the next generation? Or if the next generation does not qualify for affordable housing, could we compensate them for however much the home sells for to the next low-income family?
Mayor and members of the council, Vice Mayor Ansari, that's a good question. Yes, the the home can be passed on to the family members who reside in the home. In addition to that, no home buyer under the CLT model will lose money. If they walk away, they get what they put into it, and any potential profits, a percentage of that as well.
Got it. Okay. Well, I just asked these questions because I think it's important that we also help build generational wealth within these communities. And we know that home ownership and the inheritance that comes with it accomplishes that in many cases. So if we can figure out a policy within this program that does that, I think it would be extremely beneficial. Further, this round of funding is targeted to fund around 25 homes, I believe. In the future, could the Community Land Trust Program be utilized to purchase land and build dense multifamily condo projects for home ownership, or is there something that limits that?
Mayor, members of the council, Vice Mayor, I'm sorry. Currently, the model in Arizona is only for like single-family homes and townhomes. Condos and multifamily complexes are not individually platted for the land, so that's not able, you can't own the land because if it's a complex, unless you buy the entire complex. So that's not been done yet, but maybe with this council, maybe in the future, we could try something like that. But at the moment, the answer is no.
Got it. Okay. Well, I think we've discussed this, but I think it would be a mistake to limit this to just single family homes. So if in the future we could look into that, I think that would be great. And then my final question is whether or not it would be possible to use any of these homes or designate some of the homes as live workspaces if a resident would like to run a business out of the home.
That's something we certainly can research and see. I think in some cases, in some CLTs, there are some folks who work remotely from home, and we've seen some instances where people do side businesses out of their homes as well. It's going to be run like a typical home, like you and I would have a home, so that's how they do it. But in terms of affordability restrictions, there's no restrictions on doing business, et cetera, at the moment.
Okay. Great. Well, thank you so much again. And it was great to hear, especially that you have visited with other cities that have had successful community land trust model programs. I think that's always a phenomenal way to make sure that we are learning from best practices. So thank you so much for all this work. And in addition, beyond the points that I just made around generational wealth and the work, live and density, I think I'm very excited to move this forward. Thank you.
Councilwoman O'Brien.
Thank you, Mayor. Titus, can you discuss a little bit about how the homeowner, how is the percentage determined in equity that the homeowner who is selling gets?
Mayor, members of the council, Councilman O'Brien. So typically what we've seen in practice is if a home is sold at a profit, the buyer generally gets to keep about 25 to 30% of the profits. And then the rest of the money is given back to the CLT to continue buying new homes or rehabbing existing homes and continue the model of keeping homes affordable for those under 80% area median income.
And so is that percentage dictated by the terms of the purchase of the home initially?
Yes, it's in the agreement when the home buyer agrees to buy the home through the CLT. They sign an agreement saying if a profit is sold, if the home is sold subsequently and there is a profit, they get to keep a percentage, because remember, the land is always in the name of the CLT. So they're only buying the improvements on the land, or the home in this case.
Correct. And when Vice Mayor Ansari was talking about asking her questions, you made a comment about how they cannot lose money, but if they have a mortgage on just the home and for some reason there was a default, explain how that works a little bit.
So, good question, Councilwoman O'Brien. So one of the things is they're buying a home at a discount. So even if they have a mortgage on it, the appraisal value or the value of the home is far higher than the mortgage they owe on that home. So when they walk away, then they get to keep the equity and any potential profits they may have, a percentage of it.
Okay. And then I just have a question about the item as it was agendized in the procurement information, because this is just for discussion and information, that you're going to do the call for interest for the $6 million in gap financing as well as procurement for the CLT administrator. So you don't need further approvals from the council. Those have already been received in previous meetings.
Yes, Mayor, Councilwoman O'Brien, the strategic plan for ARPA did authorize the creation of these programs, so that will enable us to proceed.
Okay, just wanted to verify. Thank you so much. Thank you, Mayor.
Councilwoman Pastor.
Thank you. I just have a question because I'm adding up the numbers. And so slide 7 says 6 million, slide 8 says 6 million, slide 9 says 6 million, and then I read slide 10, 5 million, so I'll add up 21 million. But then I break it down, and I see that slide 8 says 2 million. So if I look, we're looking at 12 million. So 2 million will go to slide 8 project.
Vice Mayor Pastor and Titus and Gina, correct me if I'm wrong. What we're talking about today is the $17 million that was awarded through the second tranche of ARPA that you authorized. The 6 and 6 that you see are the two components within the affordable housing portion of it. One piece of $6 million being for Moreland itself, the other 6 being the gap financing. Then there's an additional $5 million, that's the CLT. There was also an additional $4 million that you awarded from the swept ARPA funds that made Moreland 10 in total. So hopefully that clarifies things for you.
No, I understand that where it says the gap financing in the Moreland. If I go to the 12 million, it says Moreland on the slide 10 million. Gap financing, I'm assuming, is 2 million.
No, that's Vice Mayor, that's where I'm going from. Of that $12 million, that's in broad terms, it's gap financing. Part of the gap was for the Moreland. So 6 million of that 12 goes to Moreland. The other 6 million is for the broader context of gap financing that Titus and staff talked about. What makes Moreland 10 million is the additional 4 million that's not part of tranche 2, but was part of the swept ARPA dollars. And they're just recapping it for you.
I know, but that needs to be clarified for the community because I'm thinking 12 million, and then if I start doing the numbers, it ends up being something different.
No.
And so that's why I'm adding clarity to this piece so that people understand it's more than 17 million. We've already added additional dollars to this.
Correct.
Plus the 17 million. That's why I'm adding some clarity.
So just for the record and for those watching from home, I'll just kind of run it down again real quick and really slowly. So we're talking about our tranche 2, which directly was awarded to the housing department for these programs, $17 million, 12 of which breaks down into 2 affordable housing or 2 gap financing type programs. One was $6 million for Moreland. The second component was a $6 million broader context gap financing for residents. And then there was a $5 million CLT. When we came back a few months ago, right before Christmas, you also awarded an additional $4 million to help offset the Moreland project from the ARPA funds that we swept that were being underutilized. And that's how we get to that total. So when you add the 17 from tranche 2 that was direct, plus the 4, you're at 21 million.
Okay, that's what I had added up. So that's why I was trying to break it down on here. What's the total cost for Moreland that we added? Is it 14?
It's $10 million.
No, it's 10 million plus, that's the total cost for Moreland?
No, it's not the total cost for Moreland, but that's what ARPA dollars have been allocated for.
Okay,
Moreland.
that's what I needed to know. That's what I'm trying to figure out. Thank you.
It's good to have a city manager who was once budget director. That was pretty impressive. Do we have any additional comments? Thank you. And this comes on top of a wide variety of innovations we're doing in housing. Economic development has worked to attract companies that are changing how we build, including companies that do 3D printing. We did innovative projects, including using containers. With our fellow jurisdictions in Maricopa County, we have now 187,000 units that are zoned but not built. So we are approving projects for the private sector to build. All of this contributes to building more affordable housing, including the innovative programs we have done today. I want to give a huge thank you to Bloomberg Associates, who have been wonderful partners on this and help us do data-driven, smart decisions. With that, we are adjourned.
Uses. So it's very important to know who your Adopt a Highway contact is and that they have your contact information. We need to know as quickly as possible if a new coordinator is appointed or if you change any of your contact information. Make sure everyone in your group fills out a volunteer registration form before each cleanup. The Arizona Department of Transportation wants this to be a rewarding and safe experience for all of you. Volunteers like you make this program successful by giving your time and energy to make a positive impact on the environment. Your efforts are appreciated, very much so, not only by ADOT, but also by the citizens of Arizona and the visitors who will enjoy a cleaner state because of your hard work. So spread the word. Arizona, keep it grand.